How you doing?
I'm doing well,
Nice
thanks.
to see you.
It's a pleasure to see you too.
What time did you have to get up at DC, in DC?
I got up at 3:30.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's okay though.
What time do you usually get up as a Dominican?
It depends on the man. I ordinarily get up at 5:15.
Okay.
It's just a
Is that
propitious
morning
hour.
prayer?
Morning prayer starts at 7, and then Mass is to follow. So yeah, but 5:15 you get time to kind of freshen up.
Now, I'm sure a lot of people are interested in this. I am. What is it like walking through an airport dressed like you?
What is it like walking like an airport dressed like me? You know, some people, would like to talk to you, but plenty of people would not like to talk to you.
Do you think some people have no idea what you are?
I suspect as much.
It's not like the Roman collar, where it's unambiguous.
Actually, I heard a man today, as I passed him, he said, he waved at me, and then as I passed, he goes, "Oh, that's ecclesiastical garb." Which made me think, like, what did he think I was initially, like a wizard or a Jedi? Both of which are good.
So he waved first.
He waved first,
and then realized
caught himself, right? So if you think you're being greeted on account of your religious affiliation, that may not be the
Not
case.
necessarily so, yeah.
So
was it awkward in the beginning, and has it become less so?
Hard to say. I think in the beginning, I was more conscious of how people reacted to the fact of my wearing a habit. But like now, it's kind of par for the course, and it's one of those things where, like, in addition to being cool and evangelical because it starts conversations, it's also it's penitential. So it's just, you're weird, and that's okay. That's the kind of life you signed up for. All my eggs are in the "I'm weird for Jesus" basket, so I hope it pans out.
There must have been a sense of excitement to receive the habit.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly.
And how long until you receive the habit when you go through formation?
For Dominican friars, typically it's like 2 weeks.
No.
Our postulacy is like 2 weeks long.
And then you get the habit?
Oh yeah, you better believe it.
You exaggerating? 2 weeks?
No, I would never exaggerate about that, no.
So it's literally 2 weeks and then they put a habit on you?
I entered on July 25th and I was given the habit on August 7th.
It doesn't feel like you've earned it.
No, certainly not.
Because it's a grace.
Bingo. You set yourself up.
You're
okay,
welcome.
yeah, well done.
Because sometimes you see these guys who join religious orders and they've got to wear the awkward slacks and big wooden cross.
Yeah.
Kind of earn your stripes before you get the cool thing.
Right, yeah. And then for women, sometimes they wear kind of blouse jumper skirt things.
Yeah, those are the worst.
That's what it is, but yeah, God love them. But yeah, we just kind of show up and look silly and unshaved and unhygienic, and then they say, be better and shaved and hygienic, and we're like, okay. And they're like, and here's the habit. It's like, wow.
Is it after the habit they want you to be more clean cut?
Not necessarily. They just want us to be grown up, and a lot of guys coming from college, and they're like, yeah, I shave like every 4th day.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, actually, that's, and they say every day, hey?
That was like one of our novice masters thing was like, yeah, this is like, there's not going to come a point in your life where like your boss is going to say, you need to look this way.
Yeah.
There's no like business professional conversation coming down the line, so it may as well be now.
Not a lot of Dominicans have big beards. Do you reckon there's some people who started to think about the Dominicans, puberty kicked in and they went, nah, friars are the renewal?
I think, so in the Dominican legislation, it used to be the case that you had to be clean shaven. The only guys who would grow beards would be the men who were going on the missions, for whatever reason. And then in the Franciscan tradition, it's always been big beards or bust. So I think the reasons they list in the Capuchin legislation is that it should be like austere and masculine and ugly. I think it's like...
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like part of it is the...
You have to look ugly.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Done.
Uglify yourself. I think that's... I could be misquoting.
Sure.
I haven't read their
Don't
legislation.
speak on behalf of the Franciscans.
But yeah, no, they own it, for sure.
Yeah.
I have some, jealousy.
Now, what do you think the best male religious habit is?
Wow, bold strategy, the Dominican.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I want to show you, in case you haven't seen it, the Franciscan friars. Let's look at them here. Friars of the Renewal. Because I actually discerned the friars for a while.
Okay.
And a big part of it was their habit was just awesome.
Yeah. I was just with some friars 2 weeks ago. The guys from New Mexico were in Nashville preaching a big old conference at the Grand Ole Opry.
The joy that these blokes have is just beautiful.
Yeah, they're the real deal.
I went and lived with them. Well, I say lived with them. I went and did a discernment thing with them in England.
Okay.
Actually, this looks like the same place I stayed in England. I might be wrong about that.
Judging by the cabinetry?
It's just cabinetry. I might be mistaken. But
yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's simple. It's also in one piece, which for those who wear a Dominican habit, it's in like 3 or 4 pieces.
What are you wearing now, 2 pieces?
So I'm wearing a tunic, and I'm wearing a belt and a rosary, and then I'm wearing a scapular, and I'm wearing a capuce.
Holy moly.
So in my father's house, there are many habit parts. I go to prepare a habit
Dominican habit. Now, this is pretty cool. Do you know this guy?
No, we haven't met.
Do you think he's really a Dominican?
I suspect as much. He looks like he's Spanish speaking, and that looks like a pretty convent. So I'd suspect that he's from like Spain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know these blokes.
Who, them?
They're part of my province. That's where we do our novitiate. Yeah. Some of these guys are in formation presently.
Now tell us about the black cape.
Black cape. We call it a kappa because that's a fancy Latin word for, you guessed it, cape.
But that's different from capuchin, which is capuche, right? Which has to do with the hood.
Yeah, so it's all based off the same word.
Okay.
So the word in Latin is caput, which means head. And so like a capuce is what covers your head. And the reason for which, people have ways of explaining stuff.
Yeah.
And usually it's fine. But usually the way that these things come about is just as a result of practicalities.
Yep.
So contemplative religious have capuces because they need to cover their heads because they're always praying in churches in Europe that are cold and drafty. So that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it.
Cool.
Headscarf, but
And in
different.
fact, this is where we get the word cappuccino.
Bingo.
Because the brown habit that the Italians wore.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the forerunner of said delicious drink.
Yeah.
Sometimes frothy, sometimes
Okay,
foamy.
we're going to look at one more habit. I think the Sisters of Life have a better habit than the Dominican sisters. There you go. I just said it. Boom.
Okay,
I think, why isn't it?
state your reasons.
I will. And I'm about to do that
Because you like the color blue.
with a plum. Here we go. Okay, here's why the Dominican sisters, gosh, they're all so beautiful. I love sisters. I've never met a sister I hadn't fallen in love with. Because it's the Dominican habit, but they added
She's
blue.
Australian, I think.
Is she?
Yeah.
That's why she's the prettiest.
I just met her in Toronto.
Really?
Yeah, she's a cool lady. Oh, she lives in Toronto too. I just met
Really?
her recently. Sister Catherine Joy. She's Sister
glory to
something
Jesus
Grace, and I've forgotten.
Christ.
Yeah.
But no, that's the argument. They've taken the Dominican habit and they've improved it with the dark blue.
You just think blue's better than white.
Well, yeah, it adds some variation.
You think we have a black belt. Check out this thing. This is like hugely variable.
Well, let's look at the Dominican sisters. Dominican.
You said this was the last one.
I know.
You're a liar.
Yeah, no one's going to watch this show. It's fine. Now, yeah, they're all gorgeous. This is, I don't know. This is either the greatest habit or the second greatest habit.
Okay.
Yeah, because
You're waffling. Do you
I
want me
am
to convince
waffling
you?
a little bit. The Sisters of Life, I think, is better than this, but I haven't fully decided yet because this is glorious.
Practical considerations.
Make the argument.
The reason that white was chosen was because it was the cheapest material. It's undyed wool.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it's like eminently practical. It has no real like spiritual significance assigned to it, except after
Not
the fact.
purity, nothing like that.
No, like you get that in like the subsequent tradition, but it's just like, yeah, this was cheap. Which is like the same reason that Mother Teresa chose her habit. When she was like with the Sisters of Loreto, and then she had this like profound experience that God was calling her to do something new. And right before she got on it was like a train or a plane or a blah blah blah. She had to like get a habit for her congregation. And she just went into the marketplace and she found like 2 saris that she could sew together that were the cheapest thing she could find.
Is that right?
Thus it was born. Yeah. So oftentimes it's a matter of just what's ready at hand.
Well, that's why I heard that about that's the argument for why the Franciscan habit was originally grey,
yeah.
not brown. But wouldn't that be dyed if it were grey?
I don't know how things work, but I imagine like dirty lambs, sheep lambs, they probably come out gray.
I guess. So when my wife actually discerned with the Sisters of Life.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so whenever I see them, it's like meeting the boyfriend that I beat. Not really.
That's kind of weird, but
It is
I
kind of
support
weird.
you.
Thank you.
Yo, thanks for watching. You can watch the entire episode on YouTube if you want. You can listen to it at The Matt Fradd Show by subscribing on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And feel free to support me, patreon.com/MattFradd.